What if a fuel small enough to fit into a couple of gym bags could power an entire city for years? And what if it was so abundant we've been tossing it aside while mining for the rare earth metals that go into our phones, wind turbines, and electric cars? This isn't science fiction, it's thorium, and it might just be the comeback nuclear energy has been waiting for. Thorium is ultra-dense energy. Burn a single ton, about the size of a washing machine, and you unlock the energy of 24 million barrels of oil. That's like loading freight trains with coal, stretching across entire states, just to equal what one bathtub of thorium can do. Numbers that big sound almost unreal. And here's where it gets even crazier. Density alone doesn't guarantee the future, because we've already had a dense fuel: uranium. Classic reactors run on uranium-235. It's powerful, but unstable. Lose control and you face meltdown. Worse, the waste stays radioactive for over 100,000 years. That's multi-generational poison, a problem we still don't know how to manage. So any nuclear 2.0 has to do two things. Don't melt, don't leave waste for our great-great-grandkids. How thorium flips the script. Thorium itself isn't fissionable. It needs a nudge, a few neutrons from a starter fuel. With that push, it transforms into uranium-233, which is fissionable. Here's the twist. Remove the neutrons, and the reaction fizzles out. No runaway chain. No self-sustaining fire. That alone makes it safer. But the engineering design goes even further. Instead of solid fuel rods that can overheat, thorium is dissolved in molten salt. That salt loops through a compact reactor core, heats up, then transfers its energy into a turbine. Inside the core, the geometry is perfect. Neutrons bounce, reactions thrive. But once the salt flows into pumps and pipes, the neutrons scatter and the chain reaction dies. It's like stacking logs tightly in a wood oven. The fire sustains. Spread them out on the driveway, and the flames quickly die out. And then comes the ultimate failsafe. A frozen salt plug sits at the bottom of the reactor. If power is ever lost, the plug melts. The liquid fuel drains into a tank, and the reaction stops. Automatic, passive, no meltdown. But here's the part no one tells you. The waste profile is dramatically different too. Instead of tens of thousands of years, most thorium byproducts decay in just 300 to 500 years. Still serious, but manageable. Hundreds of years is a policy problem. Hundreds of thousands is a civilization problem. So why don't we see thorium everywhere? If thorium is this good, why isn't it already powering the world? Because of history. During the Cold War, governments chose uranium because it produced plutonium, the material for bombs. Thorium didn't. Molten salt is corrosive. Imagine a 700 degrees Celsius radioactive chemical soup flowing through metal pipes for decades. Only now are advanced alloys starting to survive it. And because of regulation. Every nuclear law was written for water-cooled, solid fuel reactors. Trying to approve a molten salt thorium design is like asking the DMV to license a flying car. But here's why thorium's moment might finally have arrived. AI. Data centers are exploding worldwide. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they can buy every GPU on Earth. But what they can't buy is enough electricity. Utilities can't keep up. And this is where the story takes a sharp turn. When energy becomes the bottleneck, governments listen. Lobbyists move. Rules bend.
Thorium checks the three boxes people actually care about: safety, scale, and waste.
Today, only a handful of experimental projects are running. China has already moved to action. In 2021, researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences switched on the world's first thorium molten salt experimental reactor in the desert city of Wuwei, Gansu Province. It's a small pilot, producing about 2 megawatts of thermal power. Not enough to feed the grid, but enough to prove the concept works. The long-term goal is far more ambitious. By 2030, China plans to build a commercial-scale thorium reactor capable of powering hundreds of thousands of homes. If successful, it would mark the world's first serious step toward using thorium as a mainstream fuel. Why China? Two reasons: resources and security. The country holds some of the largest thorium reserves in the world, often found alongside its vast rare earth deposits. That gives them a fuel source they can mine domestically, reducing dependence on imported uranium and coal. It's also about technology leadership. Just as China became the world's largest solar panel manufacturer, it now has a chance to be first in a new nuclear race. If their thorium program succeeds, it could change not just their grid, but the balance of global energy. A commercial rollout is still years away, but for the first time, the market need matches the technology's strengths. Abundant fuel, dense energy, meltdown-proof design, shorter-lived waste. In the 1950s, we chose uranium to win the Cold War. Today, we need to choose again, this time to win the climate war and to power the machines of the AI age. Thorium isn't a silver bullet. No technology is. But some tools are simply better. And if a few buckets of gray rock can light up a city, maybe thorium isn't the fuel of tomorrow at all. Maybe it's the fuel we should have been using all along.